conversation when we're supposed to be doing a seminar, it's just not on. Right, welcome back to round two. Yeah, oh dear. I don't even know why I brought this bloody flip chart, to be honest, but that's from this old proper shit seminar. Right. Today, mainly about stage hypnosis, but all of the things that I'm going to be mentioning today will also become relevant tomorrow as well. So that first session, the key thing, we're going to go through the physical elements of the drop back, falling backwards induction, call it what you will, in a minute, is your intent, you. Whether that's on stage as a stage hypnotist or in therapy as a therapist, what's in your head, as kooky as it sounds, does get transmitted. And Robert Phipps, who's doing our body language course in a few weeks' time, will no doubt say that that's due to you having that consciously going on in your head. You subconsciously change your body language, and that transmits it out to people, which, yeah, is true when you're face to face and they've got their eyes open and they can see you. But when they've got their eyes closed or the back to you, then how exactly can they see that your body language has changed? When we think differently, our body language does change, admittedly, unless we're consciously thinking, I'm angry, but I'm going to try and look like I'm relaxed. Still some sort of change takes place. But if the person can't see what exactly is going on, the honest answer is there's nobody on this planet who can give you a 100% provable, rational explanation, which is precisely why before the break I did what I did without telling anyone what I was going to do, so that, you know, it's not a case of something having been set up or verbal suggestion. Just that hopefully, especially for those of you who've seen the other DVDs or been on other seminars, you might just be able to wrap your head around the idea that, believe it or not, there is actually something more going on than just bullshitting people. And, you know, believe it or not, you can, as we'll cover more tomorrow, when we get onto therapy in more depth, you can, within seconds, remove from somebody their problem. And by remove, that implies that I'm saying, like, physically go in them and remove it. And the fucked up thing is that is exactly what I'm saying, as you'll see tomorrow, which goes totally against everything I normally say or teach. So, falling backwards. Can I borrow you again, please? Okay. You don't mind, do you? It's just that now you're obviously relaxed enough to know that I'm not... Okay. We ended up doing the locked hands. I'll explain the reasoning behind that afterwards. But we got people to the front and the hands were together. So, I got them all to put their hands against the chest. The reason for that is purely and simply because in that position that makes the top half of the body more top heavy. So it doesn't take that much to end up off balance, and that's only a slight movement back, to be off balance enough that when the support is taken away unexpectedly, you start falling backwards. Which when tied in, just stand up straight, that's right. When tied in with what you're saying verbally, the person comes to a point where they believe the reason why they're feeling themselves falling backwards is because of the words you've said. And yeah, for some people, the suggestion of that may conjure up the mental image. If they attach their mind to that mental image, the seed grows, it becomes reality, and they follow. Yes, there is that element. But when you can add something that's physically highly likely to occur, and because you know it's going to occur, you can, you know, suggest that verbally. When it happens, which you know for 99% of the people, 99% of the time it is going to happen, they will come to believe it's because of what you've said. So later on, when you come to do things that are down to you just suggesting stuff, the resistance has gone, the barriers are down, and they've come to the belief system or the logical conclusion or call it what you will, that what you say they will do, or what you say will happen. So you could call it a trick, but although there is an element of trickery in terms of knowing what's going to happen physically, as I said before the break, we also tie in when we come to touching them on the head, or when we come to catching them. So can you just stand sideways on there? That's brilliant. When we come to catching them, your hand comes down to catch them, and also physically imagine that pulling, as the falling back, pulling the chakra, pulling them back. No. I was physically touching him there. That wasn't fair, you see. Whoa, stop yourself. But, yeah, indeed. Okay, well, we're not doing it that way. Feet together. I just wanted to show off for the camera. I can't do it whenever I want. Tremendous. So, everyone got the feet together. I got them to stare at a light, so if you just like to stare at one of the white lights, that's brilliant. Wherever you go, there's generally a light. If there's not, you say, please stare at a point on the ceiling. It's just so you're getting that 45-degree tilt on the head, which is doing two things. Number one, it's making the head, together with the hands, with the body, it's making them more top-heavy, so it's going to make it easier for them to fall backwards. Secondly, the 45-degree with the eyes is knackering the eyes up slowly but surely, because as you're waffling and walking around the stage, and they're staring at this point, it's starting to strain the eyes slightly, because it's in an unnatural position toward your eyes in, so you're getting physical tension on the little muscles around and in and surrounding the eyes. Thus meaning that when you come to say something like, you may notice your eyes are getting so heavy or so tired, or your eyes will remain closed, or it's so much easier just to close your eyes, the person logically, by that point, having stared at the light, and if this is on stage, which remember it is with stage hypnosis, it would be a bright spotlight, so this is going to be quite blinding as well. It's going to bring sort of blurry vision tears to most people's eyes that aren't used to working on stage. You've got that element of it's the unknown, it's an environment that they're not feeling too comfortable in, whereas you come across, whether you're shitting yourself inside or not, as though you know this is the most natural thing in the world. So you've got a 45-degree angle which is knackering the eyes up, top heavy, your intent, what we spoke about before, that's in your head, and the physical position they're in. We make sure they get the feet together because that way it's harder for them to suddenly, if the feet are apart, it's a lot easier to move one foot and stop yourself from falling. When I go up, my foot goes flat against the back of the ankles, like so. So we've now got a perfect pivot position. So with the gentlest of movement, it's easy to get the person to move. I'm stood, obviously, you have them facing the audience. I'm doing this sideways, obviously, so you can see. I'm stood here, so my leg will at some point touch the back of their legs. That's a non-verbal signal that I am stood there. In other words, you're not going to fall, you're not going to hurt yourself. It's reassurance non-verbally. My right arm, even, comes around, so my elbow will connect physically on the person's right shoulder. And this is another non-verbal, that I'm there, it's fine, you're not going to fall. My hand comes back, touches roughly the centre, above, in line with the nose, between the eyebrows, where the third eye is, and quite gently pulls the head back, as I say, head well back. That's immediately getting them used to the idea of doing what I say when I say it. Compliance, conditioning, Pavlov's dog syndrome. And as time goes on, the more they do what you say, when you say it, the more it becomes logical to carry on doing what you say. You say a nice deep breath in and out. Now in this position, with a white light staring at your eyes, in a somewhat slightly unusual stance, if I was to suddenly move my leg in underwear, yep, the person would fall. But obviously we're not going to do that. We don't want somebody suing us. We want them to gain trust in us, rapport, call it what you will. So you say a nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Now actually in this position, when you take those breaths in then out, it does slightly hyperventilate you, makes you feel a bit dizzy and lightheaded. That's natural. but the person comes to believe it's like the onset of hypnosis, whatever they may perceive that to be. You count your numbers backwards from 3 down to 1, because that's a non-verbal verbal. I know that sounds very Irish, but it's a non-verbal verbal, because you're verbally saying 3, right, 2, 1, but the fact that you're doing the numbers backwards, going down, is a suggestion that they're going to fall down. It's inbuilt by, that's why whenever you're doing inductions, your numbers go backwards, and when you're waking people up, the numbers go up, because obviously numbers going up is a non-verbal verbal. Have I invented a phrase there? A non-verbal verbal, that they're waking up and coming up. You put all these elements together, quickly, you can just stand up properly for a minute. You put all these elements together as a floor, so it's you look to the person, feet together, hands against your chest, head well back, stare at the light and all this. And there's so much going on in an unusual environment, in a weird manner, that the person doesn't know what's coming next. And you could argue that there's an element of sensory overload. What the hell's going to happen next, sort of thing. The other weird thing is that not just the intent bit about the third eye that we did before the break, but this area, your brow area here, you've only got the more gentle the better. People just naturally start to follow that. The harder you do it, the more they're likely to put up resistance. It's just a light, like a feather's touch. When you pull the head back, it's that dominant, I'm a hypnotist in control, head well back. But then you release the pressure, so it's just nice and gently there. So gently. Brilliant. So we put it all together, and it looks like brilliant. Feet together, just keep staring at the white bright light, hands against your chest. I'll be with you in a moment. You can stand stiff and rigid at the moment, telling them in other words, you're not going to fall yet. I'll only be talking to you directly when I tap you on the shoulder, so they know the moment you touch them, this is the time where you may start something happening. Now, it doesn't matter who's first, but the first person's the hardest. After that, it becomes easier. So your first person, you will be looking for somebody whose hands were sort of, shall we say, vibrating, shaking a bit. Because the more they're shaking, the more suggestible they were. The more responsive or cooperative, depending on how you look at it. If nobody's hands are shaking, then you're looking for the ones where the fingers have turned white. And if none of the above are there, then you're just looking for somebody who seems to have been taking this seriously, looks as though they're going to take the rest of it seriously. Because you want that first person must go down on the floor, otherwise you're fucked. As far as the stage hypnosis show is concerned. That's it, your credibility's out the window with the audience, and it's out the window with the people on stage. The first person's got to go, unless you've got balls of steel and been doing it for years and have got other ways around it, which we'll cover later. So that the other people on stage who are in this lineup will see peripheral vision and will hear the reaction of the audience and that person that they've gone down on the floor. Which is a massive suggestion that if it's happened to them, it's going to happen to me. And the sheep effect comes into play. So once you've got number one, the others become easier and easier and easier and easier. So you say, you know, I'm only talking if I touch you on the shoulder. That's brilliant. Feet together, hands well back. Tilt your head well back. I'm going to count backwards from 3 down to 1 on the count of 1 if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will. You'll feel yourself falling gently backwards into my arms. I won't let you fall and hurt yourself. I'll just let you fall into a lovely, relaxing, sleep-like state. 3, nice deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And what I'm actually doing here is I'm breathing in as he breathes in. And my chest area is touching his left shoulder. So he can feel that my body's moving up as he breathes in, and as he breathes out, I breathe out, which they call kind of pacing in NLP for some reason. But what it's doing non-verbally is saying, I'm part of this with you. You're safe, you're not alone, which is making a person get a psychological state to feel better about this. So, nice deep breath in, And I physically do move my hand up in the air like I'm doing now, for in, and then out. Again, it's about intent, because that helps me in my head think, yeah, you are going for it. So it's so much easier just to close those eyes down. And I do sort of, I don't physically touch them unless they're non-responsive straight away, in which case I would do. But I do bring my finger and thumb down, or hand, and go eyes closing down. Mesmer would have called that a mesmeric pass. We'll talk about that briefly later. But again, I've got this intent. You are going to feel energy from me. You are going to close your eyes. As I'm counting the numbers backwards, I'm gently doing the finger thing. Start on 1. I'll do it one final time all together. They're the separate bits together, but it's basically because of the position they're in, it's so much easier for them to pivot. The ankles are together. The top heavy because of the hands. The head tilted back makes them more top heavy, it's easier off balance. The more gentle the better with the finger, the more likely they are to follow it, that non-verbal. The position you're in, they know the feet are supported, they know the right hand side is supported, they know the left hand side supported by your chest, and you've got the head. They feel safe. You're breathing in with them and out with them, pacing and leading. Makes them feel comfortable and not alone. You're part of this with them, making them feel safe. When somebody feels safe, they start to trust what's going on. When they trust you, that is what they would call rapport. You know that thing I say on a lot of my DVDs is a load of shite and has got nothing to do with it? Well, actually, it's 99% of everything. Oddly enough. And then you put it all together, it's feet together, hands by your side, sorry, against your chest, tilt your head well back, take a nice deep breath in, 3 nose, now 3 mouth, 3. The deeper you go, the better you feel, the better you feel, the deeper you go with every breath that you take. Every noise that you hear, every word that I say too, just closing your eyes down, that's wonderful. Feel yourself falling gently backwards. I won't let you fall and hurt yourself, you just fall into a lovely relaxed state. I'm on falling back, sleep, relax, deeper, 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 deeper. The deeper you go, the better you feel. Deeper, 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 deeper. The moment I tap you on the head, the very second, the very instant I tap you on the head, you'll be your normal self in every way. You'll be wide awake, you'll feel really good. 1, 2, 3, you're wide awake. Round of applause for this volunteer. I'm sorry for picking on you so much. You've got a definite impression of what it feels like, so that's the man to accost in terms of asking what it feels like. But thank you for allowing us to see, you know, what it looks like, so to speak. You've got all those elements together, and what you end up with is what is known as the falling backwards, the drop back induction. After you've done your first person, the sheep effect comes into play, so it becomes easier. Right, doing this arse about tip, what occurred before that? That was what we call a suggestibility test. The locked hands. Where I got you all to put your hands out in front of you. Well, in fact, the best way of sort of explaining this is for you to do it again. So, hands out in front of you like so. Interlock your fingers. Note to self, mesmer, passes, group, tests, then on the flip chart, because I've not talked about them before. Right, hands out in front of you like so. Interlock your fingers, so the fingers of the left hand against the back of the right hand, fingers of the right hand against the back of the left hand. Press your palms tightly together, thumbs down on top to squeeze your hands together, just as tightly as you can. That's wonderful. On this occasion, I'm not going to count forever and a day from 1 to 10, but what I want you to do is just squeeze your hands together. Really keep squeezing them together. I'm going to waffle any old shit for the next 2 minutes, because it's not so much about the words, although that is an element of it. But the physical element is that basically, if you keep your hands in that position, squeezing them together for a couple of